Hello. Okay. This is the Ladies of Purgatory panel. I'm your moderator, Bonnie Ferrar. Now, the women that are going to come on this stage, you've seen them on TV, you've seen them on panels before, but I just really want us to think about the fact that these women embody such strong female representation for us. And how lucky we are to have them, not only on our screen, but behind the cameras as well. Whether it's writing, whether it's some of them direct, whether it's on-screen acting, and just in their everyday lives, they are role models through and through. So please help me welcome them all. Emily Andras, Megan Follows, Katherine Barrell, and Dominique Provost-Chalkley. Sorry.
Oh, thank you. Does anyone want some sweet Coke Zero?
There we go. Wow, you're starting
Let's get
early with
lit
that.
on Coke Zero. Come on up. Do you want some?
Emily Andras.
Oh, Dom said in her beautiful British accent, should we have some champers on the panel? And we were like, yes. As soon as you say, there's no booze in this drunk hot, but it's BYO. Oh, that's a poor pour. It's a poor pour. Here you go, darling. There you go. Enjoy it. Can I see some ID? Can I see some ID before you? Anyone else? Anyone else? Yeah, come on down.
Come on.
Guys, let's get it on with this Coke Zero. Come on up. I got 2 more glasses.
It is now the Coke Zero panel.
It's from Kat Zim. I got one more. It's a Meredith.
We need to.
One of the Merediths.
Keep that one.
I need one for Champers. Sorry, guys. I need one for Champers. Yep.
Would you like a glass of champagne?
Sure, I'll do that after I
There you
have
go.
my coffee.
I might have drank out of that glass.
Cheers.
Oh!
Wait.
Meredith down. Meredith down. Are you okay? Sorry, I'm hijacking the whole thing.
No, go.
Okay.
Hi, guys.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, no worries.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Here we go.
Cheers. Am I supposed to open this?
Right.
You don't have to.
Drink.
Bonnie, do you want some Champers?
No, I'm good.
I love that you're like their role models, and then we're like, let's have some champagne before noon. Bonnie, please, take over.
Okay.
Take over.
This could take a while.
very much.
So,
Anyway, yeah, I think you just twist them. Here you go.
Oh, wait, no, I don't want yours. Here, twist it with your strong British arm. Woo! Yeah. See that? Thank you. I'm going to drink it right out of the bottle.
Yeah, do it.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, yay. Hi, guys. Hi. How is everybody? Good. Hi, Bonnie.
Hello. Well, in keeping in line with what I said about being strong female representation for all of us, why it's so important, and you know, drinking champagne on stage is a perfect example of this.
Yeah, just like Mother Teresa.
Exactly. Is that you remind us all that there's not just one way to be strong.
Aw,
that there's not just one way to be a woman and to do the things that we have to do in this world. And the kind of stories that you tell in your writing and the kind of characters that you guys portray, the things that you pull from to play those characters are extremely important, and I would say life-changing to all of us.
Oh, man.
So why, and you've said before in interviews, I'm sorry. Yeah. You've said before in interviews that was extremely important to you. Why is that important, do you think, to have these kinds of stories right now?
I don't know if any of you have met any women, but they are not all the same. They are all extraordinary, and they are strong in their own way and have flaws. But I do think, particularly when you look at an action show, I feel like women at least used to be written one way. And quite honestly, none of the women I know are like that. They're as complicated as the dudes. Sometimes more complicated, which I like very much. It is a privilege, though, and a credit to the network, that I was allowed to make a show that had so many different type of women. So that, you know, Winona didn't have to be all the things that Waverly is, or all the things that Nicole is, or all the things that Mama Earp is. I feel so lucky. There was a scene this year that was between Mercedes and Winona and Waverly and Kevin, played by Anna Silk. And I think you talked about this. And it was 4 women. They were all completely different, talking about saving the world. Mercedes was talking about her face in the diamond ring or the non-diamond ring. But I was really quite struck, even in my old age of 70, that I was like, I think it's really unusual to see a scene with 4 women just having a conversation, and they're all so different. And I still think that's so unusual. But it is such a privilege, and it's so important to me because I think women are going to save the world. So we should see them and hear their voices.
Now, Megan.
Yes.
One of the most complicated female characters this season was Mama Earp. From start to finish, you were amazing, and I don't think anyone could have played that role.
No, nobody. Yes, thank you for not calling our bluff. It was you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You were a powerhouse every time you were on screen, and no matter who you were on screen with, whether it was Melanie or Tim or Dominique. And what was it like? It seemed like you'd been there all along. So what was it like coming into Winona Earp, you know, season 3, in such a pivotal role?
Fucking weird. I have a friend who's a huge Winona Earp fan, and when I first was going through the process and auditioning for Mama Earp, putting myself on tape, which I did when I was on a trip in Buenos Aires, and I was with my daughter. I did a self-tape, and I was like, I'm trying to do this, and my daughter was very patient with me. She said, Mom, just, okay, do it again. And, you know, trying to get the light right, and you've got your little cell phone, you know. And I'm going down this road going, who is this woman? What? Where are we? Oh, okay, I like it. I don't know where we're going. But then talking to my friend afterwards, okay, so give me the backstory, because you can imagine if I coming into something and I was like, I'm sorry, what? Sorry, so there's a demon doing, sorry, who? Okay, wait a minute, there's the portal, sorry, okay, what? Okay, that means, what? And then I said, okay, she's been, it just is an incredibly rich playing ground, a playing field. So it's so fun, I think. I just think it's so fun when you actually, like you just said about female characters, when a character is just a character and she's female, so that meaning she has all of these positive attributes, but she'll have a lot of defects of character, and you're just a person who's really complex, and then you're smashing that up against all of the stuff the shit you're really up against in life, which then will be gender politics and class politics, and I think there's all of that then makes a character so fascinating. So it really was like getting to play, I have to say, and then just kind of free-falling and going, okay, I don't know, but I'm gonna try. And then the stuff really, because Mama, the first time we were introduced to her, it's like, is she there or is she not there? So is this really her, or is this who Winona wished her to be? So, and we haven't seen her in a long time, and so it was fun for me to call you and say, okay, I got a few questions. But then I realized that I wanted to start watching Mel and then just mimicking her gestures, because if she wasn't, so the part of me that's the actor and the part of me that's also jumps outside and sees things as a director, different things, I thought, I'll start mimicking her gestures, because if I'm not really there, how do we know I'm there or in her head, and that was, and so I was talking to Mel, so I would just start to, so if she went up, my hand would go up, or if she turned, I just turned my head, or just little things to sort of tell that story, because you got to get into it quick. Yeah. Not like my answer. Next.
So brilliant. Brilliant. That's right.
Do you remember what scene you auditioned with?
I think it was
a scene that isn't in the show.
It was a scene that's not in the show.
Because
it's
the
back in
Earpers
time.
will find anything online. So now we have to write, when we write sides for audition, we write scenes that will never exist. So if someone finds it, I'm like, yeah, sure, yeah.
I think it was back in time.
I
too.
love you, though. I love you.
I think it was back when she was young.
Yeah, there was one when she was younger, and then I think there was one on there was one, you know how Mama talks about taking Winona camping one last time? I think it was on the camping trip, is that right?
Yeah.
And Mama's trying to say to her, I'm gonna have to leave, and you have to be strong, and
Hiding from
I
something,
see you.
that's right.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, something's coming. It was good.
It was a smorgasbord
Yeah,
of
it was
all
a
kinds
lot.
of stuff.
It was a lot.
I
Yeah.
have to say, it's really nice to have you on a panel.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Literally.
I agree.
I feel like you should just talk all day and we'll all just listen to you like
Yeah.
this. Yeah, wow. No, it's really nice.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's a blast. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, and she's not clean. She's messy, and I think that's the other thing that we've allowed male characters for so long to be clean, messy, dirty, funky, whatever, and then women are often cloaked in how appealing they are, especially for my generation and when I was a young actress. Honestly, were you beautiful enough? Excuse my bluntness. Were your tits big enough? There was a whole thing. Were you the ideal of what someone considered? Could you be the girlfriend? Could you be the mother? You were, and very rarely were you the story. Or if you were, it was quite unusual. And of course, I came into something that was very unique because Anne was the story. She was the, well, she was the spine, right? She was the spine of a story, and other characters were the ribs and the bones around her, but she was the spine. And I didn't realize, being younger, because I'd been very fortunate, I'd had that a few times, I thought, oh, that's what we get to do as women. And you do it more in the theater. You definitely, there's a canon of those roles in the theater, and my family came from that, so you see that. But then you realized, oh, that's not what you, So it's so exciting to see this final coming, us coming into age, and we're just at the beginning of that
It's
for
so exciting,
storytelling.
though.
Really, it is exciting.
It's exciting
It's a
to
good
see.
time. It's hopeful.
Yeah.
I feel like it's hopeful. Yeah.
They have to be.
But we have to pay, that's a testament to Emily. Woo!
I know. I love you. Thank you for watching it and proving to my bosses that people want these types of stories and these types of characters. Thank you. So.
I'm in such a good mood.
I know, it's so good. Me too.
It's just all such good vibes.
Dancing, all right, I don't know what's going on. I haven't had enough coffee yet. I gotta get going.
I know, me too.
I'm sort of
We're in a
Something's
really
wrong
good
with Dom
mood
and I, but
today.
we are in a good mood.
It's good. It's good.
Well, in playing, like you said, messy, and all your characters to some degree are messy, I mean, Winona for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And we saw a lot about Waverly. I mean, she doesn't quite have it all together either. Nicole tries to,
She's stuck in a garden. She's stuck in a garden, got a leaf in her hair, stuck in a garden.
One thing that stood out to me this season, and I think a lot of Earpers felt this way, is the boldness in your storytelling this season, in taking the ability to talk about the messy stuff that we all deal with, whether it was depression, anxiety, grief, guilt, being, not just survivor guilt, but guilt we all carry in some form or fashion. And, did you know when you were writing that, did you know when you were filming that, importance it would have on everyone, because it has inspired a community to open up about their own struggles.
Oh, thank you so much. Some people would say a little too bold this year, but we'll talk about that later. No. When we tell the stories, we always want it to be within the context of the show, so we don't want it to be too literal. We still want to take you on a journey and to have fun, but certainly one that I was so struck and moved by the response to was Jolene, was incredible. Yeah, and thank you for getting what we were trying to do. Shout out to Shelley Scarrow, who wrote that episode. Yeah. She's pretty great. It's her birthday this week, and Noelle Carboni's birthday this week, so let's get it on Twitter. And also, can we please just give it up for Dominique's incredible raw performance. Yeah. And I'm so sorry that you had to go there, but I also just think I appreciate it so much, and I hope you know how much the people in this room appreciate you doing that. I think. I think everyone on this panel, or many of you, have spoken about your struggles with anxiety and depression, and I have had many struggled with medication. I don't know any woman right now who, I'm totally gonna cry. Oh man, day 3, guys, just like clockwork. Definitely not the 2 sips of Champers I had. I don't know any woman who thinks they're enough. But we are all enough, and listen, everybody is struggling. Everybody has guilt, mommy guilt. Yeah. Everybody doesn't think they're doing enough, and I don't know, man, the fact that you're here and you stay and you fight means the world to me. And every day, that's all that I do. That's all I do. But I also feel like something has changed in 2018, and with all due respect to everyone's politics, it's a bit of a tough time right now. Mm-hmm. Listen to me. This is your world too. This is your country too, and you have every right to be here. I'm so sorry. So listen. Yeah. And I see you all, and I love you, and when we're in something like this where we're all together and we feel that energy, I know we're gonna win, because we believe in something better, and we are all gonna be enough, and please don't give up. We will be with you, writing about tentacles. But, and part of the reason this is happening, I truly believe, is because we are all enough, and they know it, and we're coming, okay? We're coming, and we're not going back in the bottle, and we're not going back in the closet, and we're not going, we're staying, okay? I love you, okay? Anyway, all right, now, thank you. Somebody make a joke about boobs now. Let's bring it back, let's bring it back. C-cups, but thank you. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Look at this.
It's so good we had Champers. We're totally in control. No,
I don't know if you're supposed to make the moderator cry.
I know. I mean it. It's really
I'm
important.
supposed to be the one who has questions.
God, man.
Ask a question about boobs.
Yeah.
It's just, it's like, so I'm sitting here being like, I feel like we're all just part of this moment that we're gonna look back on that changed so much. And it's so funny, I'm sitting here going, I feel like I don't deserve to be, it's so
yes,
stupid.
You do.
But
oh my God.
immediately that
Kat
thought,
Barrell?
immediately
Who
that
deserves to be
thought.
here more than Kat Barrell? What an ally.
Thank you. But
I know exactly what you're saying.
immediately that thought
It's so annoying.
came into me of like, you literally just said so many of us struggle with not being enough, and I'm like, I'm sitting in the feminist movement, and I don't deserve to be here.
It's okay if we acknowledge, this is becoming a treatise, but like, it's okay if we acknowledge our flaws and our vulnerabilities, and so much of society makes you just think about those things. I would like to have a much smaller butt, but like, I don't. But you know what? I'm still gonna vote, and I don't care. I don't wanna be distracted by those things. No, I mean, like, I would like to be a better mother to my kids. I would like to be a better writer. Please send me your notes later. I got it. No, I think that's very natural, but I wish we could take those insecurities and vulnerabilities and somehow turn them into strength, that we don't have all the answers, but maybe together, if we open our hearts, we can all work together. And I don't know, I'm really going off, guys. Somebody stop me.
I just also want to say, because having adult children now, you know, there's so much anxiety in the world. There's so much stuff, but it's also a very interesting weapon that keeps us distracted from really how powerful we are. Because if we just are consumed by the problems that we have, or that I'm not enough of this and I'm not that, why am I not? We're not really going, actually none of that matters, really. Oh, here's the thing, I need to get out. I need to get out of here and get into here. And so I think that that's a part of it. It's really, we're actually, we're far more powerful than we know. So we just have to keep fighting for that and keep aware of the distractions. It's a very, right? So that's mama. That's mama.
I know, good.
Keep that one.
Does anyone have any questions about hot Stetson? Hot Stetson, just bringing it back. No, thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Bonnie. I know.
Okay.
Over. My bad.
I know.
You can do it.
I know. All right. No, but it's the way that you guys portray the characters, but also the way you write them that does inspire us all to stay and to fight. Because we see Winona do that, right? She thinks she's struggled for 3 seasons, not feeling good enough, you know, and yet she's out there literally kicking the door down and inspiring us all to do the same. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll take it in a slightly different direction now, guys.
I'm really glad you brought this now.
I'm so glad we got campers.
I don't really feel
At the
like
beginning, everyone was a bit like, ooh, I don't know how I feel about this.
No, I'm very happy.
Yeah.
Get you hydrated.
Because this is the ladies' panel, I wanted to. Emily tweeted out an adorable picture of her. No, when you were younger, your younger self, on Twitter. It did look like it was yesterday. If she hadn't have said this was my younger self, I'd have been like, where are you going? But it got me to thinking, because you said, you know, to the younger self who was dreaming about being a writer, and it really got me to thinking, and all of you I know have some moment where you've looked back at your life and you see a younger version and you go, wow, you know, I wanted to be here, and now you are. So if you could go back and tell that younger self anything, any kind of advice, what would you tell that younger self?
Always this question gets me. Oh, man.
I would say that it's okay to take time. That when I look back, I almost think, oh, I was so hard on myself. Or I look at a picture and go, oh my, I was really beautiful. I had no idea. How could I be so disconnected from something? So if I was doing that then, what am I doing now? That's that same story. To be kinder to myself so I can be more present to the world around me and not again distracted by what I perceive as a lack, which I think is just another way to disempower me, a very clever, insidious way. So it's okay to take time to learn about things. I think we're in such a hurry to already be somewhere that we are never, we're already on to the next thing in our mind. We're not sitting in something. And sometimes it's unpleasant, and sometimes it's joyous, and sometimes it's complicated, whatever it is. But it's about present time and being, so that some things, what is that thing about 10,000 hours, or like?
Oh, to become an expert.
To become, you know, you really do need apprenticeship and mentorship. You know, that's really, to be a mentor to someone and to actually take the time to learn from someone. That's a really good thing. That's what I would say.
I think for me, I'm an only child, so I think being raised around a lot of adults, I grew up really, really fast. Just because that's all I knew. I wasn't raised around other kids, so I I still have a lot of like social awkwardness around people my own age, which is so silly. But I feel like I wish I had had the permission to be a kid for a little longer. I felt like I missed some stuff, and I mean, through not really a fault of my own, just a lack of exposure, I guess. But I think I jumped into working so quickly, and now I'm like so blessed that I get to travel for these cons, because it was always a regret of mine that I never traveled in my early 20s, and.
But you can still travel.
But I can now. I guess I just feel, you know, of course you can, but I feel like it would have changed me a little.
But I think that's what. Okay, sorry.
Not in a bad. We'll talk about this later. Yeah. No, but not in a bad way. But I just felt I was so sheltered for so long, and I wish that I had given myself permission to be silly, because I think I don't, and. It's kind of a shame. So that would be one thing for me, I think.
Aww.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Great answer.
Yeah.
That's good answers, you guys.
That's
amazing.
I just want to say to that, which comes back to permission to fail. We don't live in a culture that understands the value of failure. Because you need to fail many, many times, sometimes, to succeed. There's a really huge pressure on us to get it right once and skyrocket and be America's next top. You know, and life really doesn't work that way, because often those people, wow, they are going to hit fast, because you got to fail. So to be silly sometimes is getting out of our comfort zones, I would think, and maybe you mess up, you know, to be more forgiving. That's Mama's advice to you.
Thanks, Mama.
And going off that, actually, I think that I would really go back and tell myself, what is success in your eyes? And to try and figure out from my gut, not my head, what that actually is and what that looks like. Because it's really interesting. I'm reading a book about what the Western world sees as success, and how we class it, and what these messages that we are getting constantly from advertising, from the media, from all of these sources, that ties in very nicely with what we're talking about, representation and all of that for women. But yeah, the Western world has a way of telling us that success is linked to money, is linked to fame, is linked to all of these things. And actually, if we lived in a world where success was linked with wholeness and feeling present and feeling good within ourselves in the moment, regardless of the exterior things that we class as success, I think that we would be living in a much happier world. And so I think I would go back and tell that little overthinking Dominique, who was constantly in her head missing so many important moments, that actually get out of your head and into your gut. And I would have probably gone, where does that even mean? But to just say, you'll understand one day, and just try and give yourself the space and the time to listen to that gut, rather than speeding through everything through your head and not being able to decipher which of the thoughts are real, which of the thoughts are my ego telling me a narrative that isn't true, which of the thoughts, because when we live in our heads and we're constantly being, stimulated as well by the exterior world and this very fast-paced world that we're living in at the moment, that is just constantly screens and things and adverts and whatever, it's very hard to listen to what's actually going on at your core level. So to get out of your head and into your core and let that guide you, and then have the confidence to know that your gut is telling you the truth. Does that make sense? Yeah.
What an extraordinary group of women, eh? What an extraordinary cast. It's Canada and them, no. I think those answers were incredible. I just want to say for me, very quickly, I think that I would tell my younger self, like, all the things I didn't like about myself have gotten me everything where I am today. Like, you know, like it being kind of too loud and too short and too funny and too jokey and too stubborn has gotten me here, which is exactly where I want to be on this panel right now. So that is the biggest gift, I think. But I wouldn't change anything that happened to me, which is funny, you know? Like, I feel like it all ended up to me here with the Champers, so thank you. Yeah.
I think we're going to open it up for a couple of questions, if you guys want to.
This is my favorite panel ever. It's so good. I know. I'm like, let's do 5 hours.
It's so wonderful to have you guys.
Great panel. Thank you, Bonnie. What a great panel. Yeah.
It's so wonderful to have you guys on here talking about everything and opening up. And I just want to, again, thank you for doing that.
It's a privilege. Thank you for having us.
There's that, I was just thinking, there's that great quote that Nelson Mandela said at his inaugural speech, which actually originally came from Marianne Williamson. And all I know is the beginning is that our greatest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. And I think that's just an interesting, so it's a good one to read, to look up. Yeah, just a little thought.
Is everyone doing okay?
So,
I know, seriously. Let's just stay here. Lock the doors. Yeah.
along the line, like, you guys obviously have powerful stories that you want to tell, and you actually have a platform to do it on. Do you sometimes wish that the show was more like sitcom-y so you could do more political-based things a little bit easier, or do you think that because it's sci-fi is the reason you're able to tell more stories and you have a little bit more freedom? Because the fan base from sci-fi seems a little bit more accepting.
Right. That's a great question.
Great question.
I want to tell political stories, but I say this a lot, I don't want to be too on the nose. Like, I probably won't have a giant orange Cheeto demon, although I... Yeah. But if I did, he would die of too much diarrhea, so... Definitely film that. That's the end of my career. No, I said diarrhea on a panel, didn't I? I think that I am absolutely able to tell the stories that I want because of genre. I think because genre is another world, it allows us to secretly tell stories about our world. And you see that since Star Trek. It's like Shakespeare telling a story about what it is to be human in an inhuman world, right? It's very hard to do that, I'm assuming, on Last Man Standing. But God bless if they want to. So, no judgment. I'm just like, I think the forum, the genre, allows me to tell those stories. And I obviously love a lot of humor on the show. I mean, we do Gnome Wife. It's gonna be fine. So no, I don't wish the show was more sitcom-y. I wish there were a lot of things we could push faster on the show, certainly. Like, there's always battles for me to have in diversity, and it is baby steps for me because I'm just hungry and impatient. But we'll just keep pushing, so thanks. Yeah.
This is embarrassing.
You know what?
This is a question for Megan. I asked you this at Dragon Con, but I wanted to ask it again with Emily here so she can say yes. Will you come back as Mama Earp in season 4, and would you like to direct an episode of Wynonna Earp?
Oh, yeah. Yes. I would love to come back as Mama Earp. I think there's a lot of still terrain to unmined terrain there. And I think to answer the previous question, combining that, I just think that there's just a really rich ground about, there's nothing more complicated than a mother. We put a lot of onus on mothers when they don't live up to what we deem them to be. They have a huge pressure that's much bigger than fathers sometimes. It's a different archetype. And so I find that there's, so hopefully the answer to your question is a yes on the acting I would love, and I would be honored and thrilled to direct.
You would kill it.
Yeah, it's just it's a playground. It's a delicious playground. Yeah. but I can't, I don't know.
That's a binding contract. That's a binding contract.
Hi, this is my first con and my
How's
first
it
fandom.
going?
Wow.
Yeah. So I just have a comment. You're so inspiring, but I just want to say that stature is on the inside, and you are some of the tallest women I have ever met.
Thank you. What a lovely comment. I feel like Earp-a-cons are a good first gateway drug. I feel like it's a good first con. Yeah, good.
Hello, I'll let you pick question 1 or question 2
Question
today.
2. Hello.
Question 2? Okay.
I just said that. I don't know. Ask the better question.
The bar fight.
Oh my God, wasn't it so good?
Talk a little bit about that. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Megan, is that the first scene that you shot with everybody?
The bar fight.
Probably with everybody in the same scene.
Yeah.
I think you're
So
right.
that's like a first impression that you made to everybody.
I don't
What-
think it was the first, no, it wasn't the first scene that I came in as a performer doing.
What was your first scene?
No, but with like working with everybody.
But she probably worked with
Oh,
everybody
okay.
individually first.
Yes.
But my question was like, you had just gotten over kind of the crazy of Mama Earp. And then you kind of start this bar fight, and this is everybody's first impression. She did. And then that kind of like snowballed everybody else into said bar fight. That was Nicole's first impression of Mama. Things like that. So
Arresting you. First thing.
can you all talk a little bit about like that, and then Kat, when you had to kind of break up the fight between Waverly and Jolene, you seemed like you were struggling to hold back Dom, and I don't know, like, I mean, she doesn't look,
She's
but
strong.
yeah,
She opened my champers, no problem.
yeah,
Have you seen her arms? She's
yeah.
she's a strong lady. Yeah.
Oh, have you seen her arm?
And
And legs too. So good. The whole thing.
Emily, just real quick, what episode is Mama Earp coming back in season 4? 401?
The best one.
Yeah.
Oh, that bar fight was so amazing.
You know, things like, I mean, just kind of fun behind the scenes, that takes a lot of orchestration. So I would put a shout out, first of all, to the stunt people involved, to the incredible director, Paolo, who really had to orchestrate. There's many, many, many beats in a scene like that. You have people that you're introducing, they're coming into a bar, they're settling, there's the moments with Doc and Mama and the drinks, you're establishing Winona looking at so-and-so who's noticing somebody else. There's a whole ricochet of kind of effect. And then you've got Jolene and Zoe was hysterical and funny, all of a sudden having to do this singing number up there as everybody goes slightly insane. But that only works when you break it down beat by beat, and it's actually, you have to say to the stunt guy, because I was like, can I stand on a chair? So I think Mama's on a chair, rocking out, because now we're rocking out to this music, and then going, okay, so what does that mean? Well, if Jesse, the stunt guy, walks by, and I knew him from another show, he's a wrangler, works with horses on a show called Heartland, so I had been with him in a different world with animals, so knew that he was very aware. He would know, like, so I'm gonna punch you, or I'm gonna jump on so-and-so's back, but all of those beats. Then the editor, so you shoot moment by moment, it's kind of fun. And then you build it, you break it down. It's written one way of this orchestral, piece that's incredible. Then you gotta break it down note by note. And then you gotta shoot it carefully. Because sometimes when energy gets going, you have to be careful. Because if I go like this to clock her, and I'm a little too energetic, and I go a little too close.
And I'm like, what's happening?
Then I take, that's not gonna, and it's no good if you don't get it on film. So.
We'll use it.
So if you get it on film, it's good, anybody's sacrifice. But if they're not, no. So that's kind of just fun about that. And that scene was a lot. There was a big, long.
We should have a bar fight every year, right?
Yeah.
And Kat has to hold back everybody.
Yeah. Exactly.
No, she's gonna start it next time.
Next time I want to start it.
She's right there. She's having some Coke Zero.
Hi.
Hi.
I gotta say, one of my favorite things about this whole show that just makes it for me, because I have 2 older sisters, is the Earp sisters relationship. It's just so important to me because my sisters are like my best friends and everything.
Oh, you're so lucky.
We've been through so much this year and everything. They got my back no matter what. But yeah, and in regards to my question, what would you say, like this goes for everybody, what would you say is your favorite thing to work on this season with Melanie?
Aw, Melanie. Let's hear from Melanie.
Mel and I, oh, she's so good.
We were just sorry.
We were literally just talking about her in the toilet as we were.
As she would want. As she would want.
She'd be so proud. Yeah, I was like having a wee like, God, do you ever think about what the show would be like if Melanie didn't get cast as
Canceled.
Winona?
Canceled is the answer. But with all of you, I said.
I was just saying, like, it wouldn't be the same show, like, at all. She's inspired each and every one of us, I think. Even the fact that you were there, like, hey, let's start you're working together as an actress. She's completely nuts, and she sets the bar for every other actor to come in and just be like Tim was saying it yesterday on the panel, like, I wouldn't have had that scene with anyone else because they have such a trust. Yeah. She's unbelievable. She's so great. Anyway, that wasn't the question.
No,
what was it?
No.
But it's important that we talk about her because she's our leader as a female, and we're on a female panel, and she should be here. You know what I mean? She's really, really special. Yeah. What would be my favorite scene? Oh yeah, I felt like we didn't have as many scenes. Not that so. No. No,
I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding.
No, what I meant is that we didn't have as many out on the field.
Yes.
Thing. But when we did, with the arm guy, Clint?
Yes,
One-arm Clint. That whole day, it was the nicest day, and it had been so cold for like the previous month, and we were like towards the end, and it was whatever, and then I was like, Mel, we've got a whole like ridiculous storyline when we're going out, because she doesn't read the scripts until like right before, because she likes to be as present into the scripts as she goes, whereas I'm like, what's next? But yeah, and so I'd read this, she was like, oh my God, amazing. And that day, it was just like something happened where it was like, we were just so happy to be back together and like doing ridiculous stuff. And she was being so funny and just like out of control. And we were, it was like this beautiful sister moment where I was just like, God, we've known each other for a long time now. And there is something unexplainable between us where she just knows that she can make me laugh to the point where like it's over, like in a scene, and I'm like, I'm trying to hold it together, Mel, but you're so funny. And I miss her actually.
Aww.
I really miss her. And
We're gonna do another season.
Oh yeah, true, that's good. But I actually thought about her yesterday. I was like, I'm gonna call Mel, so I'm gonna Skype Mel.
Let's call her right now.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
She doesn't have a phone like that.
Has a
She's
phone,
like, no. But yeah. That would be like the whole, outside going into the mine and everything. Yeah.
So beautiful.
One of the first things I did with Mel, she was on the cliff's edge, and I remember she had to wear it was cold, and she was fearless up there, like on the outcropping that we put her, that she was up on, but just she's game to play, so they would have the warming blankets on her, but then she had to take all that off, and it was so I mean, it was minus 16, minus 26. No, this is Celsius, but still
that's like minus 800 Fahrenheit.
So
thank you.
she was there was no question.
Yeah,
That's what her character would be, Winona would be.
Yeah.
That's what she was going to do.
Yeah, she insisted on that. Like, I was like, for the first time, I remember having the concept meeting, and I was like, I think that the girls should be wearing coats in the truck before it crashes, because I really actually think Melanie's gonna get in trouble. And Mel was like, it is gonna be so beautiful and fierce for her to be in her evening gown. And I was like, Mel, I'm so scared for you. And she was like, I can do it. And I trust her. I trust her so much, but I
Yeah,
was
because
scared.
she wouldn't have put you in jeopardy. She
No, of
would
course
know,
not,
but she would do that. And
and it was beautiful, right?
yeah, it was beautiful. And I had a lot of fun with her in the jail.
Oh, that
when
was
the
so
two of
good.
us wake up,
Oh my God,
kind
it
of
was so
like
funny.
smushed,
The outtakes for that are so funny.
Yeah.
They're so good. Yeah.
like mother, like daughter, kind of
Yeah.
coming to. But I would just say a number one really sets an incredibly important tone on a show.
Yeah.
They set the tone for a crew. They not just the cast, because you follow in the leadership if you're, and she's obviously has the absolute respect of not only her fellow actors, but she has the respect of her crew, who have to work incredibly hard and long hours, but they do that because she shows up, suits up, knows what she's doing, and is a great leader.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Makes people
person.
laugh.
Amazing.
She's always good. How about you, Kat?
Me, oh, I mean, it's all the Win Hot team up stuff, but my favorite moment was, it was late at night and we were shooting the season 3 drinking battle with the Revenant, and that was, I just remember that
Kat
moment.
Barrell, the best drunk person you've ever seen in your life?
See, that's my inner silly, that silly that is like dying to come out. But Mel was so funny in what she was improvising, and I remember that moment of like, you know, in your life when you take a step back for a second, you go, this is perfect. In this moment, I am blissful and happy, and life is perfect. That was an absolute moment of that, and I just like felt so lucky in that moment to be with her, screaming and running and being silly, and it was beautiful. Yeah.
We've got
For asking about her.
we've got time for one more quick question. I know. She won.
Hi, how are you?
Hey. I love 307, and I was just wondering how you convinced Jan Arden to play Bunny.
So Jan Arden is amazing. She is a Canadian treasure. You should go buy her album. She's extraordinary. She is an Albertan, so she's a local. And she had kind of started getting into acting. When the first season started, with all due respect to Natasha, who did an amazing job, I really wanted Jan Arden as Aunt Gus. And I was like, oh, she'd just be so great. But she was like, what the hell is this Winona Ryder? I don't know what the show is. Which is the right response when you read the pilot. I think that it has a lot to do with Kat. I think Kat deserves credit because Kat and Danny had worked with Jan on Working Moms. And I think that hearing Kat talk about Winona and how fun it was, and just loving Kat for the person she is, Jan knew she would have fun on our set and she would be protected. Like, she hadn't done a ton of acting before, but we were like, we're gonna write a great character. But God, that woman was so game. Like, we were like, we're putting this cat on your butt. She's like, yep. And like, they're gonna pour this teapot down your mouth. She's like, yep, they are. Wasn't even in the script, just kidding, it was. So just out of the generosity of her heart, and she's such a Canadian, she's such a, for lack of a better term, I love this word, she's such a broad, because I consider myself a broad. Danny kind is such a broad, Melody's such a broad. We got some good broads up here, you know what I mean? Like, I want to retake that word, because, yeah. And I would like to give a shout out because Jan has a great comedy coming out called Jan, and it's really kind of a curb your own enthusiasm. So she's kind of like a down and out pop star who lives in her guest house while renting like her big mansion to Tegan and Sarah and stuff like that. So I did a bit of consulting for it, so it's a self-press, but it's gonna be so fucking funny. So let's all watch that, and then let's get Bunny at Purgatory Pride Parade next year. Let's just make it happen. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I wanted to thank you all for being on this
you. What an
panel.
amazing panel.
It was an incredible experience, and for your continued boldness, your bravery, your courage in your storytelling, your acting, and the way you live your lives.
Aw.
Thank you.
Thank you for supporting us. Thank you, Bonnie.